Last night at 2:17 a.m., every child from Mrs. Gandhi's class woke up, got out of bed, went downstairs, opened the front door, walked into the dark, and they never came back. That is the premise of Zack Cregger's new movie, Weapons. And ever since I saw Barbarian, I was quite excited for this movie. He did show with that movie that he can play with tone a lot. In Barbarian, you basically have 2 or 3 different movies. But it all worked well because the transitions were well written and well directed. You kind of get a storytelling whiplash, but at the same time you don't. It's all connected in a good way. With Weapons, he doesn't really do that as much, even though there are parts to this movie that he does that with, but not to the same extent. Going in, you don't get much, you just get the trailers that don't show that much at all. All you get basically is that these kids disappeared and nobody knows how and where they are. And it's actually best to not know much at all. You get the most and best experience that way. And I have to say that this is the best horror movie this year. This is a masterpiece. The look of the movie is great. It's a lot like 90s visuals. But even though if the aesthetic is a lot like the 90s when it comes to the production design, the buildings, the environments in the movie, the story does in fact take place in 2025. We get to follow Miss Gandhi, who's a teacher for a 3rd grade class in elementary school. And all of her students disappear except one. And we get to see that she feels guilty and she gets blamed by the parents of the children. Especially from Arthur Graff, a parent to one of the children, played by Josh Brolin. He's the most vocal one against her and he suspects her that she has something to do with the disappearance. This movie is structured like Pulp Fiction, several chapters that all come together for the film's climax. And I will be going into that a bit further in the spoiler part of this video because I want to do a spoiler part for this movie to get into why I think it is a masterpiece. But right now I just want to talk about the movie as a whole and what it does well on a more surface level. Immediately as the movie starts, the tone is set. It's a creepy feeling you get as soon as the movie starts. That's why I say it feels like Prisoners to a point. You feel the dread like in that movie when the disappearance happens. And the disappearance happens right at the start. In this movie, you mainly follow Miss Gandhi, played by Julia Garner, at the start of the movie. You kind of get the feeling that she's not really the one that did anything with the children. And you get to see how she handles the accusations towards her, and get to know her as a character. Julia Garner plays this role very well. She plays the guilt, the sadness, and the responsibility of finding out what happened to these kids very well. Because as their teacher, she knew them all quite well. And the situation between Miss Gandhi and Mr. Archer is quite fun to watch. How they basically treat each other and the character dynamics in that. The movie is shot by cinematographer Larkin Seipel. He is quite an experienced cinematographer and he does great in this. We get a lot of shots that follow characters from behind. If they're walking or standing in a room, we see them from behind, like we are there with them in the room. And I really appreciated that. It gets a unnerving feeling in the movie. The film leans into low-key lighting, with desaturated colors to reflect emotional numbness and fear. Great use of shadows, and it really fits the story they are telling here. As I said before, the movie kind of feels like it's set in the 90s despite taking place in 2025. And I think that was deliberate. So you kind of feel that this was something that happened a while ago. Or even if it looks like this world, it's still not our worlds, kind of. And it's also a part that gives the movie a unsettling feeling. The production design and the cinematography works in tandem to give you a feeling that something is very, very off in this town. The movie is one of the most creative horror movies I have seen. Whatever you think the horror creature is in this movie, you will be very wrong. It actually gives you a clever clue for a lot of the movie if you know where to look. Aside from being presented to the teacher character and the parent character, we get presented to the school principal, played by Benedict Wong, who's in the Doctor Strange Marvel movies. Also, we get introduced to a police officer in the town, played by Alden Ehrenreich, who played Han Solo in the Solo movie. So this is just a terrific cast, and they do great here. There is actually nothing I can complain about in this movie. Sure, you can say it plays with tone a lot and it's funny and it's almost comedic, but it works in this case. The comedy doesn't disrupt the basis of the scenes that play out. And I've seen some say it's a comedy. It's definitely not a comedy. If it's not a straight horror, it's more of a thriller, but it's not a comedy. There are some cast members I left out because they play a huge part in the story, so that's why I will now go into the spoiler part of this video. But as for grading this movie, I'm giving this one a 10 out of 10. It's just perfect as far as a movie goes. The acting, the writing, the characters, the story, it's all just perfect. Zack Cregger has directed a perfect horror movie that's quite rare nowadays. And it works not only as a horror movie, but as a movie overall. So if you have not seen Weapons yet, I will be going into the spoilers now, so you have been warned. So Miss Candy, played by Julia Garner, is central to this movie. We get introduced to her first after the kids disappear. And the script really does something different here. We get introduced to her and she meets all of the rest of the characters for a short while. From her perspective, we see all of the characters involved in this story. Like just a meeting or someone just saying hi to her or accusing her. And as I said before, the whole class disappeared except one student. And she kind of suspects something wrong with him. Why didn't he disappear? Why was he the only one that didn't disappear? So she starts following him. But that plot point isn't that big in the start of the movie at all. Instead, we just get to know her as a character. And then we switch perspective to Archer, the parent of one of the students that disappeared. And we get to follow him for a while. We get to see him stalk the teacher because he just feels strongly that she has something to do with it. He sprays the word witch on her car. He also knocks on her door to scare her or something. And we get to see how he grieves his son and how he misses his son and how he dreams about what happened and sees his son in his dreams. But he wakes up from that seeing a very ghastly looking creature in the ceiling. And this is one of the movie's funnier moments, because as he wakes up from that dream and sees that creature, he just spurts out, "What the fuck?" But his perspective ends with that he meets Miss Candy again and accuses her again. But as he's talking to her, the principal is running towards her with bloodied eyes and attacks her, trying to kill her. And here's where his perspective ends. And we switch to the cop character, played by Alden Ehrenreich. Also, I have to mention that he knows Miss Gandhi. They meet shortly from her perspective. But we get to see his perspective. He's working as a cop, and he has some marriage issues and meets Miss Gandhi. We get to see that meeting from his perspective. And he stumbles upon a homeless person that is trying to rob houses and cars. The homeless person tries to run when he sees the cop. The cop catches up to him and arrests him. He actually assaults him because he got hit with one of the homeless person's needles when searching his pockets, thinking he got AIDS or something similar. But remembers he has his body cam on and lets the homeless person go if he doesn't press any charges against him. He tells his boss about that and walks out of the police station and sees the homeless person again, thinking that he was there to press charges, and then yelling at him. Then we switch perspective to the homeless person. And here's where we start to get some answers to what is going on in this movie. We get to see how the homeless person is living in a tent in the woods. We get to see him doing his usual things, trying to rob cars and houses. He spots a house, and it's the house of the student that didn't go missing. He looks through the window and sees a man and a woman just sitting on chairs and just looking straight ahead. Before all this happened, I have to mention that when Miss Gandhi visited the house, she fell asleep in the car, right in front of the house. And the woman walked out walking sideways with scissors in her hands, got inside her car and cut some hair from her and walked back in. And this was actually a quite scary scene. Yes, it did look weird and a bit funny, but it was scary in a way too. So going back to the homeless character, he gets inside the house through a room and sees furniture all over the room, which was weird. He walks downstairs, scoping the house out, goes to the basement, and finds all of the missing kids standing still in the basement, not saying a word, not moving. He goes back, and that's why he went to the police station again, not to press charges, just to tell the cop that he found the kids in that house. And he tells him this, and he goes with the cop to the house in the back seat with cuffs on as the police officer goes inside the house to investigate. Then we switch perspective again to the principal of the school. And he's not looking like we met him the last time. He's not looking like he has bloodied eyes. He's looking normal. He's at the school. So this is basically taking place before he gets possessed. And he wants to visit the boy that didn't go missing. He wants to visit him at his house to investigate and check on him, how he is, and so on. But the aunt of the boy comes to the school, and she looks very weird. She looks very different, very off-putting. She tries to convince the principal to not visit the house, that everything is okay, but he won't listen. So she grabs an item in his office, does something with that item, and leaves. Then she visits the principal at his house, unannounced, and he is with his husband. She then again tries to convince him everything is okay. But as he doesn't listen to her, she picks the item she got from him up from her purse, does something with it like a spell or something, and he suddenly becomes possessed, and he headbutts his husband and doesn't stop doing it until he's bloodied from it in the face and kills his own husband. and then starts running, going out and just runs. So basically she is a witch. This movie is about a witch. So we get that answer. But now it's about why, and then we switch perspective again to the boy that didn't go missing, Alex Lilly. We get to see him live a quite good life with his two parents, until his aunt shows up, Gladys. She comes to them to visit because she is starting to feel very sick. He doesn't really like that she's coming to visit because he feels she's quite creepy. As she arrives, she comes with a car and she is looking like she's sick. During the night, he walks out of his room, looks into the room where the aunt is, and he sees that she's holding a plant and that she looks more healthy and younger all of a sudden. The next morning, he wakes up and his parents are sitting at the kitchen table, just sitting there not saying anything. Gladys is there too, and she basically has them under a spell. She basically knows he's suspecting her, and she shows off her powers. Makes the parents stab themselves with utensils, threatening that she can make them eat themselves if she wants to, and doesn't want Alex to tell anyone at school about this, go to the school as normal, and never let anyone know about anything. And that's about as much as we get to know about Gladys. Then we switch to Archer and Miss Candy again. They are together now, working together. Found out that something weird is happening in that house. Find the cop possessed, find the homeless person possessed. They attack them. And this is where some funny moments happen, because when these people are possessed, they basically go after you like a missile. And Archer hits one of them, I think the homeless person. He hits him over and over again and comments about how he's not giving up. And that is a bit funny, it's a bit comedic, but it works in this movie. They have a hard time trying to beat these possessed people, until Miss Candy finds a gun and shoots them both. While Alex, he figures out how the possession works and the mechanics of it. Archer goes down to the basement and finds all the children and his son. And basically when the children get found and wake up, they go after the witch. They run after her in a group and they just go after her for a long time. It's a bit of a comedic scene too. But when they get to her, they just rip her apart. Her arms, legs, head, everything. And just a moment after that, the movie ends, basically. You don't get how she became a witch, you don't get any information how she got the powers at all, and you don't need it. I think it's good to leave some questions up to the viewer, but I do think that this movie is perfect from start to finish. How everything is told. First, the actual event of them disappearing, then we get introduced to the main characters, and then we get their perspectives, and all of their perspectives lead up to the solution of the story, and all of their perspective have a function within the story. Every character is important, and that's why I think this movie is a masterpiece. And I totally recommend that you watch it as soon as you can. If you liked this video, please like, share and subscribe. Also, don't forget to smash the bell icon so that you don't miss any of my future videos. This has been Phantom Frame. Thank you so much for watching.